Hey, this is Don Grodoff with Focus Healthy Family, and this week we are running the best of 2024 with the Focus Healthy Family podcast, and you'll get a chance to see some of our best sessions and some of our best interviews for the week. And just hold on now because I'm going to send you to one now. Take care.
Congratulations! Today is your day. You're off to great places. You're off and away. You have brains in your head. You have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own and you know what you know, and you are the guy who'll decide where to go. You'll look up and down streets, look them over with care. About some you will say, I don't choose to go there. With your head full of brains and your shoes full of feet, you're too smart to go down any not so good street. And you may not find any you'll want to go down. In that case, of course, you'll head straight out of town. It's opener there in the wide open air. Out there, things can happen and frequently do to people as brainy and footsy as you. And when things start to happen, don't worry, don't stew. Just go right along. You'll start happening too. Oh, the places you'll go.
I like that picture.
You'll be on your way up. You'll be seeing great sights. You'll join the high flyers who will soar to high heights. You won't lag behind because you'll have the speed. You'll pass the whole gang and you'll soon take the lead. Wherever you fly, you'll be best of the best. Wherever you go, you will top all the rest. Except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. You can get all hung up in a prickly perch, and your gang will fly on. You'll be left in a lurch. You'll come down from the lurch with an unpleasant bump, and the chances are then that you'll be in a slump. And when you're in a slump, you're not in for much fun. Unslumping yourself is not easily done. You will come to a place where the streets are not marked. Some windows are lighted, but mostly they're dark. A place you could sprain both your elbow and chin. Do you dare to stay out? Do you dare to go in? How much can you lose? How much can you win? And if you go in, should you turn left or right, or right and 3/4, or maybe not quite, or go around back and sneak in from behind? Simple it's not, I'm afraid you will find. For a mind maker-upper to make up his mind. You can get so confused that you'll start into race down long wiggled roads at a breaknecking pace and grind on for miles across weirdish wild space, headed, I fear, toward a most useless place, the waiting place. For people just waiting for a train to go, or a bus to come, or a plane to go, or the mail to come, or the rain to go, or the phone to ring, or the snow to snow, or waiting around for a yes or a no, or waiting for their hair to grow. Everyone is just waiting for the fish to bite, or waiting for wind to fly a kite, or waiting around for Friday night, or waiting perhaps for their Uncle Jake, or a pot to boil, or a better break, or a string of pearls, or a pair of pants, or a wig with curls, or another chance. Everyone is just waiting. No, that's not you. Somehow you'll escape all that waiting and staying. You'll find the bright places where boom bands are playing. With banner flip-flapping, once more you'll ride high, ready for anything under the sky. Ready because you're that kind of guy. Oh, the places you'll go. There is fun to be done. There are points to be scored. There are games to be won. And the magical things you can do with that ball will make you the winningest winner of all. Fame. You'll be famous as famous can be, with the whole wide world watching you win on TV, except when they don't, because sometimes they won't. I'm afraid that sometimes you'll play lonely games too, games you can't win because you'll play against you, all alone, whether you like it or not. Alone will be something you'll be quite a lot. And when you're alone, there's a very good chance you'll meet things that scare you right out of your pants. There are some down the road between hither and yon that can scare you so much you won't want to go on. But on you will go, though the weather be foul. On you will go, though your enemies prowl. On you will go through the hacking cracks howl. Onward up many a frightening creek, though your arms may get sore and your sneakers may leak. On and on you will hike, and I know you'll hike far, and face up to your problems, whatever they are. You'll get mixed up, of course, as you already know. You'll get mixed up with many strange birds as you go. So be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. Just never forget to be dexterous and deft, and never mix up your right foot with your left. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Kid, you'll move mountains. So be your name Boxbum or Bixby or Bray or Mordecai Ali Van Allen O'Shea. You're off to great places. Today is your day. Your moment is waiting, so get on your way. Happy New Year from Gina
and Don
with Focused Healthy Family. This is podcast number 97, The Places You'll Go in 2024. And in honor of the new year, I enjoyed reading. If you're on YouTube, you can see Dr. Seuss's book, Oh, the Places You'll Go. That's the story that I read today to kick off our new year.
Because we're going to kind of talk about a little bit about like what last year was like for us and some of the thoughts of resolutions, goals, thoughts for the 2024. How to envision yourself towards the future, I guess.
And just taking a little different perspective from just setting a resolution or even a goal. Looking ahead, knowing there will be bumps and challenges along the way. And sometimes it helps to reflect back on prior experiences and challenges and to see how you've pulled through and how you've overcome, how you've dealt with situations to get where you are now.
We've had a few bumps this year.
A few little hurdles.
And we're doing it very casually. This is New Year's this is January 1st of 2024, and New Year's has always been kind of just a relaxed, kind of chill day, I guess, for us.
On days that I'm not working, which typically I'm working, but I'm not today.
Well, it's Monday, not Sunday.
I often work holidays.
Yeah. So let's just kind of look back at last year and what kind of challenges did we face last year? You're better at remembering all the dates or the how-tos.
Some family members who were in the hospital and having to juggle work schedule, having to navigate hospital system, mental health care system, and advocating
for our loved ones.
And very much figuring it out as we went along with that journey. So we started the year off with some big challenges, big mental health challenges, and my father's first visit to the hospital was sometime in the beginning of the year. And, the whole balancing act, the sandwich generation.
Yeah.
Raising my children, helping navigate my youngest child journey, who's 14, and as well as our 21-year-old, who's been living on her own, but having to make decisions. And here's my parents, my father is 81 now, and with his Parkinson's and having gotten pneumonia and wound up in the hospital and helping my mom navigate that journey.
That was how we kind of ended the year, in fact, with him still in rehab.
Yeah, he had a third trip to the hospital this year. And so I've gone places I didn't expect. I had a week where I thought I was working one day, and I wound up staying at my parents' house the whole week because my mom came down with COVID. My dad was in the hospital with COVID. I was wearing my mask and juggling back and forth between the two of them to help them both out, and managing to take care of myself and feed myself and boost my immune system and try to take the best care that I could, and having phone conversations with you and the kids and being there for them and supporting them. So there was lots of ups and downs in our journey in 2023.
Well, and the fact of care, you had so many different people you had to care for. You know, your parents. You work in a healthcare industry where you're caring for others that are going through situations. Plus, you're having to care for family and then for yourself.
And that can be a challenging act. And I love that this book, I hadn't read it in a while, but it talks about all the exciting places you'll go, the decisions you'll get to make, except when you don't, because sometimes you won't. I'm sorry to say so, but sadly it's true that bang-ups and hang-ups can happen to you. You can get all hung up in a prickly perch and your gang will fly on, you'll be left in a lurch. And recognizing that there are going to be those times in our life, and they bring it back more than once in this story about getting confused and not finding your way and having to make decisions and not knowing which way to go. And I think it's important that we realize that there are going to be those difficult steps along the way, and we don't always know what's coming and what it's going to look like, or even what the outcome will be.
Well, that goes into the idea of in January is the time that everybody looks at and pressures themselves with the idea of I've got to do these resolutions, or I've got to set goals for myself. And nothing wrong with setting the goals, but as we saw this past year, your best laid plans get altered and changed, and the bumps, like you say, along the road. I think it's important to be able to put flexibility into your thoughts and your creating your year, yourself, your time.
And for me, I've been through a number of different challenges, often related to health, with my family members. And having a crisis situation definitely helps me to clearly focus on what is important. It enables me to let go of what doesn't matter and just to hone in on supporting people, caring for people, making connections, being there for those I love. And my struggle is continuing to care for myself in those times. I do things like bring my crochet bag with me, bring my laptop for writing, and then I don't always take those opportunities to do that. I kept hoping my dad would just take a nap and I could work on some things sitting in his room with him, and it took him being there over a week to realize, okay, I need to just go downstairs to the cafeteria, get some lunch, and have some time. And it worked out perfectly because I was waiting for a phone call from a doctor, not related to my dad, and that happened while I was taking that time for myself and checking up on some email and doing some things that I needed to do and to get done. And that helped me to step away to have that time. And then I went back upstairs and there was my dad, and he was okay. He was being cared for. So how do we juggle when we're in those times that can be really difficult? And what things can we set into motion to help. I know for me, I've gotten very good at quickly packing a bag, grabbing computer cords, water bottles, quick snack. Like I can do that like that to jump and go because I had many opportunities to do that this past year, way more than I would have imagined happening for me. What's coming up for you, Don, as I look back on 2023, navigating through the different months and the different happenings? We did celebrate our daughter's 21st birthday with a nice surprise party in February.
That's right.
And that was very fun and exciting to surprise her. We were just reminiscing about that over Christmas, that she knew that we were coming up, her family, to celebrate her birthday, yet she didn't know I had invited her friends from home to throw a surprise. And we were out at the store, and I was juggling messaging with everybody else about the plans, coordinating the friends that were coming up from Charlotte, driving 3 hours to Raleigh, and with her roommate and their partner, and juggling that. And we're walking around Target, and she's like, "Mom, get off your phone. Let's spend some quality time with your daughter." And we were laughing about it because I was trying to navigate things. And luckily I messaged her friends where I asked them to stop and pick up ice cream or something, and they stopped at the same store we were at. And I'm like, just don't, I think it was like the Target in Nightdale. I'm like, oh shoot. And they were in the parking lot of the store we were in. And that would have not made any sense for her to run into her Charlotte friends up where she was living. And I remember going, let me go get whipped cream or something I was going back to get. We were on one end of the store. And I did that just to be able to communicate with them. And at one point she looked over my shoulder and she saw the name of her roommate on my phone. She's like, "What's that about?" I was like, "Oh, just coordinating with your brother and what's happening." And somehow I was able to
talk your way out of that.
And she really had no idea. And so talking about unexpected, sometimes unexpected can be fun, can be a joyous moment of celebration, to take a break from struggles and challenges and be there in the moment for her and her 21st birthday.
And I was thinking about when you asked me, what comes to my mind is, again, this is a time of year where we think about planning out or setting goals or resolutions or whatever. And it makes me think about we create our life. That's what my belief is. And I believe how we envision it and how we plan it is how we can direct ourselves and get the things we desire. And I think about last year with regard to the house we end up buying. One of our visions was to get out of financial debt.
I wrote about it in my gratitude journal quite often, that we were free and clear of our debt.
And by going through the process, which is a tedious process, and it had a lot of bumps and tribulations, I guess, to it in doing it. But yet, as I think about it, and as I thought about it after we'd finished and wrapped it all up, and we got out of financial debt with it.
And we didn't really expect that to be the way.
Yeah.
We were looking into different options, and on a whim, let's reach out to these companies that say, we'll buy your house for cash, and let's just find out what that's about. Little did we know that several months later, we would be selling and buying a house and moving to a different city, about 40 miles away from where we were living.
And through it all, we were able to get enough money to get our financial debt out of the way, plus do the things we need to do to the new house to get it ready to be able to move in and get it shaped the way we want it to be shaped.
Oh, the places you'll go.
So it's, I guess my thought is that we need to take the pressure off of necessarily of January. And now, good time to plan, but as we go along, is think about we can create anytime, anywhere. Uh, we don't have to make it just this particular month to be the creative month that we do. We create all the time.
It's about setting our intentions and releasing expectations. So we had the intention of being clear of debt. That was a very clear intention that we sat down, we problem solved. We didn't feel like we were getting anywhere with it, but somehow we were holding that intention, and we didn't just sit and just wait for the money to fall down from the sky. I had many moments when I just wanted that to happen. Yet we took some steps moving forward, and it still feels surreal to me. I don't 100% believe it.
Believe the fact that we created it, or
know that we're here. And somehow you think sometimes when you get there, everything will just be magically better. When you pay off the debt, when you're in a new house. And things haven't been magically better. My depression has flared up, and I've had some really difficult days. Just getting myself enough energy to get up out of bed and move on and do what I needed to do in each day. And I know for me, there's guilt with that. Well, you got your new house and you paid off your debt. Yeah. What more could you want? Things aren't they supposed to be perfect now?
Well, mine flares the fear too of, will we just get right back into it? Will we fall back into that pattern? And, you and I both in our minds have really worked on trying to create the income to keep us from that happening again. So had to play with that fear in my mind of this, like I say, falling back into that pattern. So it's my resolution, I guess, is to keep visioning forward and not let the negatives that want to fly into my mind, not let them sink in. Kind of change how I think about it.
And it's good to allow those feelings there.
Address them, I guess. Accept them.
Frustrated. I now have a longer commute to work, and that takes time and it takes of my energy. And I can be disappointed about that and acknowledge that now exists. And I live a little further from my parents, and that's not something I was hoping for.
Especially now,
If anything, I wanted to live closer. And that wasn't a really good possibility for us, despite the fact that we looked at houses in 5 different counties. And accepting that. And knowing that it's okay to stop and accept what we're feeling and to feel it before we can work towards moving forward with it.
I just like this. I like what this is based on the book Conversation with God from Neil Donald Walsh. And in it he says, remember, you are constantly in the act of creating yourself. You are in every moment deciding who and what you are. You decide this largely through the choices you are making regarding who and what you feel passionate about. I kept you speechless.
Well, where we put our energy is where we create what we're focusing on and tuning in, and we can always make a new choice.
Yes. Yeah, there's no well, and I like the other thing that I got it. There are no shoulds or shouldn'ts in God's world. Do what you want to do. Do what reflects you, what represents you as the grander version of yourself. If you want to feel bad, but judge not, neither condemn, for you know not why a thing occurs, nor to what end. So it's kind of, we just look back at 2023, and we don't want to look back with the shoulds and the shouldn't to it. We want to look back and see where it led us to. Well, I guess I don't know if that I'm kind of rambling here. I guess, but I mean it's not beating yourself up for the past, but just focusing more towards where you want to go next. What's tomorrow going to be for you? Something like that.
Something like that.
Is this throwing you off, or?
No, I'm just thinking about all the things that you're saying and reflecting myself on the year and all the steps and the tasks that we undertook over the year and all the different directions we went trying to raise money to get our daughter to the treatment program and having to divert that plan and so many different paths we were on at the same time, and
I had to juggle
choices we've had to make over this past year. And it feels good that it's behind us. I have never been more relieved for a year to be behind me, I don't think.
Yeah. But I at the same time, I don't want to look at any of those decisions or choices we made and judge them bad or good. I want to judge them just everything's moved us forward.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't been easy, but they all the time, but they have, and that's why I guess if we're creative beings, then let's create this year in the direction we want, what we desire,
and know that there'll be times when it doesn't look
the way,
or we're just undecided, or this is my favorite part of the book, going to the waiting place, waiting for a train to come or a bus to come or a plane to go. I remember after we bought our house and moved in, our son started looking at houses with his plan to move when his lease was coming due at the end of March, actually. And he started looking into things at the end of the year in December. And he knew what he wanted. He had intention set, what he was looking for. They wanted a one-story house to make it easily accessible. And he wanted to be close to us and close to work. And he was looking online. He goes out with the realtor, looks at a new construction, and then goes to a completed house. And lo and behold, makes an offer. And in that couple hours in between making the offer and waiting to hear back, Don and I put offers on 5 houses last year. And I remember texting with him about the waiting is the hardest part, and just not knowing, are we going to get this house? Is this where we're going to live? Or are we going to keep looking and not? And Don and I went through that process.
Quite a bit.
The first 3 times I got through it knowing, okay, there's something better out there. And the 4th time I just hit rock bottom. I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. This is insane. And so just connecting with him on that, the challenges of the waiting. And even though it was less than 12 hours, it felt like a lifetime, for that decision to be made. And it wasn't even our decision. We put the offer in, we talked to the realtor and let them know what we could afford, what we could do. And then you literally sit around and wait. And there's a lot of that. Not always as big as making an offer on a house. And yet the little waitings can be very impactful and meaningful in our life as well.
Well, and that realtor was always wonderful. He would always just say, well, this was the right one's just not there yet. We'll get to it,
Yeah.
And and it kind of draws back memories of, and this goes back a while, but the pregnancies when they're having kids. We talked about we couldn't wait till all the lights were green. to go and to do stuff, to move forward with our plans. We tended to wait. We tended sometimes to wait either because we thought finances weren't there. We thought
as far as deciding to have children.
Yeah, and I think that comes true with a lot of things. There's a place where you have to be able to let go a little bit and not necessarily wait too. That you like the idea too of we had to take action. You don't just sit there and sit in a closet and think about something and it drops in your lap. There does take action that leads you to the things, and sometimes the actions go back and forth between what serves you, what doesn't serve you, but it all works towards the final, to get the result, I guess. Is that
final result?
Well, getting the desired
That's
thing.
So definitive. What is the final result? Is that not a tombstone? Is it the end product, or is it the process?
Yeah, I don't know. The process, yeah.
Along the way of what we're working towards. If you have this idea that you're going to get here and everything's
going to be done
when you get to this point.
Well, you reach a plateau, the next one pops up, and the next one pops up. So.
Or climbing, you're like always climbing up a hill. Sounds very difficult.
Yeah, well,
I like
that's true.
I like the sledding down the hill and then coasting up the next one.
Not running into the trees along the way.
That can be really good. Even though your bottom might get a little cold and wet along the way. So what places will you go in 2024? And one thing I did last year, I've been working with a group of women, kind of a coaching platform, and she had us pick a word for the year. So this was early 2023, and I picked the word joy. It just called to me, and it felt true to my heart. And we decided to have a day where we did a vision board, and I had gathered magazines and a big poster board. And my friend who was leading it, she told us that she would write the word on the board and then put the images on top. So I have a poster board that has joy written all over it, and I have a bunch of pictures that I cut out to make this vision board for the year. And I got interrupted by taking care of people, unexpected events coming along the way. And I'd always think about that, that I didn't complete the board. And yet, after we bought the house and moved in, I'm like, okay, we did get to joy. It's
in a roundabout
very winding route, but it was more about realizing that along the path of all those difficulties, I did find moments of joy in that process. Even with a child in the hospital, I found moments to have joy. I made playlists to empower me. I found songs that I connected with. Just little moments of joy.
Well, and Neil Donald Walsh talks about watch what you ask for, because he says a lot of times the opposite's going to come first.
In order to see joy, you need to experience
the unjoy. Yeah, you got to understand a lot of times first what you don't desire in order to really get what you truly desire.
And I mean, it's about contrast too.
Mm-hmm.
If everything always went perfectly and smoothly, we wouldn't appreciate it.
Really wouldn't understand it.
That sounds a little bit, I'm not sure the word, but it's not that we have to go through pain to appreciate things. It's that life has contrast to it. And wouldn't it be boring if everything kind of maintained? And I mean,
I always use the example of a baseball player. If every time they got up to play, they would hit a home run, it would lose its excitement. It'd just be another one of those that happens. But you strike out a few times, you ground ball, whatever, and then you hit a home run. it feels more exuberant because it's something different, and it's a next level. I don't know, the higher level felt. So it helps to understand. It helps to define too. One of the other, I'll keep my examples, but one of the other examples I use, if we were all exactly 6 feet tall, nobody's a centimeter over or under, it would be just that is, we're all this thing. But once that little 5-foot guy walks up, then there's that, and there's this. I have to define them to understand them. So it helps us by having contrast to understand and define in our life, really.
And who would have prepared our crawl space if everyone was 6 feet tall?
We needed Fox.
It was a very tiny crawl space, so we needed a small person to be able to get in.
And we found one.
And do that.
He was a cool guy, too.
I had another thought as you were talking about that, as far as thinking about our vibration and where we're at, and if we're maintaining. Yet if we want to shift, if we want change or new things to happen, we do things that disrupt that vibration, and it can have the effect of increasing it as far as being more connected with who we truly are, or being more disconnected. And I started thinking about a thing that I tell my patients that I work with. They come for short-term rehab. Most of them are there short-term from the hospital to get better, to get stronger, to be able to take care of themselves again, to go back to where they were living. And they may be struggling with something, and I say, if this was easy for you, you wouldn't need to be here. Because the reason they come through rehab is they're not able to just recover from the hospital and go straight home. They need to continue to mend. They need to get their strength back. Maybe they're restricted in putting weight on their leg because of the type of fracture they had, and so they can't get up and down the steps in their house, and they need to learn new ways to navigate and do things, or give their body time to heal. And I'm just thinking about that. If this were easy, then you wouldn't need to be here.
Yeah, but I think the only way change happens is when you start questioning, or it feels uncomfortable. Because if it felt good, you would just probably want to stay doing what you're doing.
And yet, that is kind of contrast the idea that life has to be difficult. Because I also believe that you can choose what feels good and what feels right, and where life doesn't have to be a struggle.
Well, that's what they talk about in the book.
And so, like, thinking about it in that context, then it just feels very counter to me to say, if this was easy, I wouldn't need to be here.
It's just our ability to hold the thought, like you're talking about, being able to create and make the choices. We need help sometimes with that. So you could be able to create it by your own thoughts, but sometimes we need just some help with that.
Yes, there's a lot to think about.
It is a lot.
I'm feeling sort of a contrast in my mind of one way of looking at things, and then going, wait, that contradicts these other thoughts that I have about things, and it gets me questioning, which I think only helps us move forward in our journey. If we're not 100% happy with where we're at, what we're doing, our body weight, our physical condition, our energy level, where we're living, the work we're doing, if we're not 100% content, we need to figure out what changes that we can make, what things we can do different to create a different reality for ourselves.
So it's perfect time to start kind of challenging yourself with that idea, to think about. And I think one of the things we hadn't talked about yet, but you brought up is, is it what you want to do, or is it what you want to be, or who you want to be?
And our Tuesday tips for this month our reflections on that. Like, you know what, in this moment, I am going to choose to just tune into my kid. I'm going to put down what I'm doing, and I'm going to take the opportunity today to do it differently. To like, okay, you know what, I was going to do this, but I'm going to pause, I'm going to tune in, I'm going to make a connection. Or I'm going to stop and ask for what I need. I'm going to say, hey, I'm really struggling today. Can you do this for me? Sometimes those little moments really add up to quite a lot. You don't have to have big, lofty goals of paying off debt, buying houses, moving. You can have little goals of I'm going to pay attention and connect with my family members.
Or just connect with myself.
I'm going to do something for myself. For a while, I had a goal once a week of soaking in the tub and taking an Epsom salt bath. And it felt really good to gift myself with that. It was time to myself. I could watch a movie or listen to music.
Spirited.
Close my eyes. And yes, I love that movie. And also, the Epsom salts was healing, releasing toxins, relaxing my muscles, promoting physical health for myself as well as mental health, which there's such a connection with.
So maybe this book could also be called, Oh, the Choices You Make. What will they be this year?
And things that happen that are completely out of our control. I mean, my dad going in the hospital, that was not my choice, but how I chose to respond to that was my choice. And yet there's times when we do have to jump and get into something that maybe we don't want to. Things that need to be done. But looking for those small moments, looking for, okay, how in this moment today, how can I take care of myself? What one thing can I do for myself today? And having those things in place makes such a difference when those challenges arise. If you have things set in motion, if you do a daily journal, if you read the book like Hands-Free Living and make choices each day to tune in, to pay attention, to reconnect with people, making those things a habit can have a big effect down the road when the unexpected happens.
And to know you don't have to put all the pressure on right now, this moment I have to make my resolutions for the whole year, or begin at some place.
And I invite you to get a copy of this book or find one maybe that you have. With all the moving and selling and clearing out of clutter, we held on to all the Dr. Seuss books.
Yep.
And I especially love this one that I pulled out to read today. So happy 2024, and not just happy 2024. How can I rephrase that? Let's step into 2024. Like I did last year, let's choose a word that what we want to embody for ourselves. And sometimes just sitting and journaling for a while, maybe just turning off the lights, sitting in the silence, putting on some music that you like, and just taking some time to reflect and create for yourself what you want.
And oh, the places you will go.
The places you will go. And I hope one of them is to focushealthyfamily.com to join us on our journey and see the other workshops and the things that we're offering, and to reach out to us. Let us know your thoughts, your comments. Please provide feedback here for our podcast. Please share this podcast with at least one person you know if you've enjoyed it, so that we can connect with more people. We can get our message out. We're going to be bringing in more speakers this year like we did last year. And we love to engage with you. Would you love to have a conversation with us about a variety of different things? Maybe you're just a parent juggling raising kids, or being part of the sandwich generation and caring for aging parents or loved ones, and we'd love to have a conversation with you. So reach out, connect with us, see the blogs that I'm envisioning having blogs on a regular basis again this year. Part of the places I went was down the path of getting out of sync with having my weekly blogs.
And remember, how you speak to your children today shapes their future and yours.